solve matters. When you look at end of cycle, everything in the end of cycle is about the way we administer activities of integration. The moment we administer our activities of integration according to the guidelines, then our learners will not miss out when it comes to end of cycle, because they almost use the same principles. The other one, this one, is about integrating those competencies within a topic. End of cycle is about integrating competencies which are similar across topics. So, when we focus on activities of integration and we administer them well according to the guidelines, I'm very sure our learners will be good to go when it comes to end of cycle or end of year. Then there is also another area, as I wind up, submitting scores from your name. Now, this one we did a pre-test on continuous assessment. We moved it to schools. But what I can tell you, teachers are going to be empowered, subject teachers, to assess their learners and submit scores to UNEP. What does that mean? Teachers must have gadgets, whether laptops or smartphones. UNEP has developed two modules, one for desktop, another one online, web-based, meaning you can access your learners anywhere, whether outside the school, whether inside the school, whether inside the classroom, whatever, and you upload their information to UNEP. So it is also coming, let us prepare for that. Then end of cycle and end of year. These two, as I've told you, when we focus on activities of integration and we administer them well, then these two will be a walkover on the side of learners, because they must use the same principles. So end of cycle assessment, soon UNEP will be releasing these sample papers or sample items. Let us wait to look at them. But what I can tell you, this time it is not just about how much information a learner has. No. It is about a learner transferring the information to do something. If you are teaching your learners to cram things, that one I can assure you, and it's very common in our big schools, they are making learners to cram. It will be very difficult for our learners to pass these exams. So in our classes, as we teach, make sure the learner can transfer what you have taught them to do something. Every time you teach, create a situation to assess whether learners can transfer what you have taught them to do something, and let them do it. And every learner must participate, because we choose a few to represent a bigger group. Yet, end of cycle, every learner will be assessed as an individual. Even projects, a learner will be assessed as an individual for UNEP. So this business of focusing on only a few in class because they are fast learners, and we leave out the time takers. They are time takers. They take their time. So everyone must be brought on board. So as we prepare our senior fours this year for end of cycle, let us go back and assess so far what we have covered, whether they can transfer the information, the skills they acquired to do certain things. That way, it will make them empowered to do end of cycle. Because items are not going to be many. My colleagues in sciences, if we say carrying out scientific investigation, what are the steps? You think your learners can independently conduct a scientific investigation? You yourself, can you? So let us start now, because it is one item. Even if they may bring it to, but the learner will do. Why? The competences are the same. And the competence cannot be assessed more than one. You get it? So let us go back. Whether you teach what, whether you teach history, whether you teach geography, a learner must be able to use that to do something. Sort of that our learners are done. Now, this end of the year, we scale down the scope to fit what learners have covered, and we generate end of year items. So we use the same principles of end of cycle. But as a school, we can also ask ourselves, shall we wait up to the end of the year to assess our learners in this kind of assessment? Now we have senior fours. If we say we shall wait up to the end of the year to assess them, are we not going to do a disservice to these people? You know what happened last year when we subjected them to this kind of what? It is a little bit tricky, but we must see it in our departments or as a directorate or as a school, and we plan such that we also subject our learners to this kind of assessment, especially those who are in Form 4, because there is no any other time. Either this time we can say, let us develop some items in line with end of cycle together. And then we sit with them and we help them how to respond. Secondly, on this, as I went up, Mr. Kalima prepare, the scoring, there are changes in scoring. When we conducted the pre-test, the way we scored was different from what consultants advised UNEM to assess. There is, there are many scoring styles. There is a form of scoring called analytical scoring. Go and read about that and think about it, because that is where we are likely to go. Analytical scoring from the responses given by your learner. Can they make something to work? When they invite you for training in this assessment, and let everyone apply to go, because so many things are coming. Otherwise, for us, we may stick to the old way of doing things, yet we are doing a disservice to our learners. Out together. So, these new changes in this curriculum, before you go to class to teach, every teacher must. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to proceed on another slide. We are going to switch to today's topic. Thank you very much. So let me invite my colleague, Kalima Ayub. So it's going to take us through competency-based lesson. What it entails in a competency-based lesson. There are new changes they have made, even in our lesson plans, in our schemes. So let us hear from Mr. Kalima. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here to share share with you a few things regarding the curriculum. Who has given us the background of the new curriculum? He said it is competence-based. He said that the learner must excel, must work. It puts responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the learner, with the teacher being the facilitator. One key thing about the competence-based curriculum is that it is learner-centered. And being learner-centered means that it puts the learner at the core of learning. It is the learner who learns. The teacher facilitates the learning process. Excelling in the new curriculum requires a change in the mindset. It requires a different way of thinking about learning. So what is that different way? In the traditional curriculum, it is teacher-centered. The new one is learner-centered, and that empowers the learner, because the learner takes responsibility for her own success. Number two, the old one, imagine that the learner merely absorbs information and was judged at how well he or she is able to absorb information. The new approach encourages the participation of the learner. So if you are making a lesson plan, it is important to see the participation of the learner, because that motivates the learner. Number three, the old one, assume the teacher is the expert, the sage on the stage, the one who knows, the master of knowledge. In fact, when you go to class, they call you master. The new approach is the teacher is a guide, is a facilitator. And that is more adaptable to a fast-changing world. Personally, I learned of TikTok from a student who was already publishing. So if you imagine that you are the expert, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. When you talk of ICT integration and you are not yet there as a teacher, you feel uncomfortable because you have it in mind that you should be the expert. We are saying you need not be the expert. You are the guide. You are the one who knows the roadmap. And the learners can very well lead you in ICT. You facilitate them. And this belief is extremely important as we navigate new areas. The old one focused on individual work. You say, do the work and hide it. Individual. We are saying no. That has not helped us, because even in this very staff room, you'll be expected to do a lesson, a scheme of work. And it is expected that you share it. It is not negotiable. We expect you to share a scheme of work. And yet, when we are training the learners, we are training them to work as individuals. No wonder in every meeting of the department, first thing the head of the department says, teamwork, teamwork. But how could you have a team when you spent 20 years working as an individual? The old one is subject-centered. Knowledge is compartmentalized. The new approach is project. That's why Wood mentioned that you may be saying have an interdisciplinary project. Set a paper that brings in knowledge, skills, values from different areas. Because that's how we work. The old one focused on prescribed learning. You teach only what is in the syllabus. What has not been mentioned, you don't value it. The new one says the most important skill is learning to learn. It doesn't matter. As long as the learners have learned how to learn, you are sure they will continue progressing. That's why we focus on research, we focus on discussion. We want them to learn how to learn, because we do not know what tomorrow will be like. None of us can say precisely what the workplace will look like 20 years from now. So we better teach them how to learn. The old one, stress the 3 R's. As long as you're considered literate, if you know how to write, how to read, how to calculate things, arithmetic. The new one says no. You are literate when you can also manage resources. That's why we talk of projects and allowing learners to manage resources. And another are relationships. Here you might be the best mathematics teacher, but if you don't get along with your colleagues, you won't last. Is it not the case? The old one believed that learning is hard. In fact, if you, as a teacher, because a teacher believes that learning must be hard, when the person finds a learner struggling, holding the head like this in break time, you say, oh, that is a very serious student. That one is learning. Learning is hard. But learning, in the new approach, we understand is natural. And learning can take place when you, the teacher, organize a learning environment. You are a designer of the learning environment. That is a higher calling than being one that dictates notes. The old one is based on a deficit model. We believe in the old one there is something wrong with the learner. So you, the teacher, you have gone to correct the problem. That is the old thinking. So you go believing the learners have a problem that you are going to solve, to correct. They have a deficit somewhere. No wonder we have remedial lessons. The new one is based on the strength of the learner. Looking out for the strength and then building on them. Unfortunately, not many schools have that program where a learner has completed a particular area and is allowed to progress, because you know this learner has succeeded, progressed. We need to create platforms that allow learners to progress, those who have mastered the concepts. If, for example, you have a learning management system with the content, with the videos, everything, the learners who have mastered should be allowed to move. Why should they be arrested and then baptized stubborn because they have already achieved? So the new approach builds on the strength of the learner. The old approach believes that learning is linear, that you must progress from one step to another. Who told you that learning is like that? Learning may be linear, it may be non-linear. Let's look at how to use ICT. Who said you must first learn how to type before you use the internet? You can use the internet without knowing how to type. The children research the internet very well, they don't type. They speak. Google, show me this cartoon, and it shows. They can't type, but they use the internet. It is not linear. Who said that you must first learn how to add before you can multiply? So it can be non-linear, and we honor that. Now, in this approach, which is learner-centered, the teacher collects information about the learner and his or her abilities in 3 different ways. You talk to the learner, you see the learner working, and you evaluate the learner's work. If a learner has drawn a picture, that can give you some information about her achievement, but not the whole story. If a learner in ICT has failed to draw a shape, you, the teacher, you can only see that. You don't know whether it is because the learner was shivering, you don't know whether it was the computer which had the problem, you only have a shape. That's why we are saying, can you look at the learner working? not only the work. So it is not only the test. The old curriculum believed that as long as you have seen the work, it is okay. We are saying it is not complete. You want to see how the learner is working, and at the same time, you want to be able to talk to the learner. We call that triangulation. Designed to provide the teacher with sufficient information to determine whether learning is taking place. And the learner, like we have said, is not expected to be a passive absorber of information. The learner is expected to be engaged in discovery, in exploration, in analysis, and we are calling that DEAR. Now, those of you who want to read, that is called experiential learning theory. Bottom line, the learner is active.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in this new competency-based curriculum, we emphasize that learning must take place through activities. I know some information has been circulating on the social media. Give your learners notes. Yet the principle of competency-based, you learn through activities. So on that note, let us ignore that information. Let us go to class. We organize learning activities. Which criteria will you use to validate your activities? Mr. Kalila has told you. It makes you converse with your learners. When you give an activity and consider such things is not an activity, because it creates that environment of converse, of talking to your learners. 2, observing who is doing what, groups. Some of us, when we are in class, focus on only a few. Are you conducting observation?
Takes place through exploration, through field studies, through consulting, through research, through experiments. And therefore you, the teacher, today you must believe that you are not the only route through which learning takes place. And I think that the teacher must not be arrogant to think that learning cannot take place without him or her. In fact, the best teacher will organize learning activities. Because this is not very clear. I wanted this one. And you see the teacher is sharing with the learner. And the learner has been exposed to stimulus material, followed by an explanation, followed by a discussion. The learner gets feedback, the learner interacts, and we have what we are now calling formative assessment. Just to be sure that it is clear, I have retained it. The learning is not only through you standing before the class. Learning can take place when the learner reads a case study or goes to the field and creates a case study. It can take place when the learner explores. It can take place through a project. It can take place through group activities, through stimulus material, through learners' experiences. You are not the sage on the stage. You are the facilitator of the learning process. The moment you accept that, teaching the new curriculum becomes easy. When you still want to believe, that you are the sage on the stage, the master of knowledge, will happen. Because sometimes people say, you people are saying things that are not possible. So notice, where is the teacher? The teacher mobilized, organized, You can see the learners are making a presentation. Learning is taking place. They have shown the product. This, we call this the schema for implementation of the curriculum. Curriculum in action. In the new curriculum, knowledge, values, understanding, skills are referred to as resources. We call them resources. That the learners manage resources. And we call it USIPA. Now, in real time, you have this learning of resources. The learners must learn the resources. It is our responsibility as teachers to ensure that the learners have acquired the resources through designing activities. Before, when we started the curriculum, I said, knowledge. It is them. Their skills. It is there. And the learners must acquire them. Learning must take place. It's not only karapati. Because some people, they depart. But we must also assess the acquisition of resources. The teacher must assess whether the learners have acquired the resources, whether learning has taken place. So this is week 1, for example. Week 2, week 3, week 4, you have your chapter, your topic. You are assessing, and that's what we are saying, triangulation. You must tell that the learners have learned. Before you go to integration. Now, the learners must also learn integration. The learners must learn integration. When the teacher is teaching, when you are teaching, the learners must be able to see how the things they are learning are connected to life. How they can integrate the concepts in class. I repeat, they must learn those things in class. One teacher teaches his mathematics, linear programming, x, y is equal to this, let by, when let x plus y must be. And then that teacher gives an activity of integration, and the learners fail. The teacher ought to have, while in class, mention how linear programming can be applied in life. The teacher of geography is talking about X, if regions, etc. in class, and does not talk about how that knowledge can be combined to solve a problem in class. And then gives an activity of integration, and the learners fail. The responsibility is now on the teacher. The learners must be guided to learn. The curriculum does not work because they have not been guided in class. So they must learn integration. And we will give them, if this is a chapter, we'll give them an activity of integration. It will help them to learn integration. Topic 2, topic 3, topic 4. Now, references, prerequisites, so nothing has changed there, except the focus. However, we are recommending now as follows, that when you do your lesson, you have an introduction. If it is an 8-minute lesson, we are proposing that really you should not exceed 10 minutes in introduction. Because some people took the introduction to too long, they mentioned They call it, I'm building the concept. 20 minutes you are building the concept. No. The moment you see you are hitting 10 minutes, you should really stop. Building the concept. Give something that is related to what you are going to learn. So in the introduction, you may have a quick scenario, you may have a story, you may have a diagram, you may have stimulus material as part of the introduction. And then we go to lesson development. If it is an 80-minute lesson, we are recommending that the things in there take about 15 minutes. As you said, the teacher also mentioned, with an activity-based lesson, you teach for only 10 minutes. You see, if you are taking too much time in the introduction, including some of the books. So you, the teacher, also read the book. Where is the introduction and what is the development? Then we go to. So here, the teacher should describe the methodology and the technique involved in each activity. Remember, you don't have to do one activity. There could be more than one activity in the lesson. It is not one. And then, note the extra support that those learners with special education needs will need. We have already mentioned triangulation. And so it comes down to the lesson plan. Then we have the learner's activities. Now, kindly don't simply say discover. Activities of the learner. They discover, they are filled in. What is it that they do to discover? What is it that they do in a way to analyze? So let us have that. And then finally, we need evidence of achievement. Was this in the areas of the book? What is it that you see? Now, when your supervisor comes to class and will teach you, submit a lesson plan. The person will look at this column. So when he's sampling the learners, so checks, are these things being seen? For example, if it is English language, can the learners comment a letter? Or bring, show the outline of the letter? If it is chemistry, can they successfully conduct an experiment? If it is mathematics, can they successfully apply mathematical concepts to solve a particular problem? Can they sketch? So you specify exactly what you are looking at. Recall S for skill, U for understanding, V for values, GS for generic skills. When you see S, it is not a generic skill. It is a subject skill. It could be measurement, it could be analyzing information, it could be whatever, but it is a subject-specific skill. So that is lesson development. Now, you continue to the next part of the lesson, which is the reflection component. The learners must reflect on the learning, on what they are learning. Now, there are many ways of doing the reflection. One of them is KWLQA method. What does it mean? K for knowledge. What do they know? Today I could have used it. I would have said, what do you know about the lesson plan? You already know this is what you know. W. What do you want to know about the lesson plan? Now notice that one you are doing before. So if you're going to use KWLQA, these first two, the K and W, are done before you teach. So you let the learners draw before you teach. They give you that. And then at the end of the concept, at the end of the lesson, the concept or lesson, you now help them or ask them to reflect. What have you learned? What is the most important thing you have learned? Why is that important to you? Those are reflection questions. And then Q, what questions do you still have? got the concept. Finally, what actions will you take? Now, remember who was saying the application, you remember? Now, this is how application is coming out. But there may be other areas, a mind map. A mind map is like a graph that connects different ideas. They could be exit slips. Many types of reflection. So the teacher ought to guide the learners to reflect. So that through a reflection process. And then when that is done, we need to have the harmonization and a conclusion. Because the learners, through the lesson, bring up a lot of things, and the teacher ought to harmonize. Harmonizing removes incorrect material, removes doubts, and basing on the questions asked, you, the teacher, you are now.
Thank you very much, Kalema. Ladies and gentlemen, now the issue of giving notes, making notes, comes in at this point. Where do you think would be the most appropriate stage where learners must make notes in your lesson plan? Production, lesson development, harmonization. Because that has been a frequent question. Are they going to start making notes straight away you introduce a concept? Because learners must have notes. They must have notes. And don't allow anyone to proceed to another unless you have checked classroom notes. Now, I think, I don't know whether that time is enough, but I think from development stage, not so. Why? If you don't leave your learners to do discussions alone, you cope, you converse with them. If they have issues, they will be asking you and you guide them. And at that point, they will be making notes. Such that by the time you come to the plenary, the last space of your lesson, they have already some. And at that point, you are adding, you are out together. But don't think they can make notes in just any minutes. But again, don't wait for them to start making notes in the last stage of your lesson. How are you going to support them during that triangulation? Don't allow them to make notes using wrong information. Be there, support them. That's why at times we encourage schools. A picture you want to see in a learner after going through a topic. This topic of enlargement and reduction. After learning this topic, the learner should understand the concept of scale. So it is a bigger picture of the topic. Competency with why. Altogether. Kakati, the curriculum developer, so you cannot learn this one at once. They break it down into smaller, manageable units. There's learning outcomes. Okay? But again, these learning outcomes, after teaching your learners, after taking them through this, you must assess them. Now, when it comes to assessment, we don't call them learning outcomes to the competencies with the E. They are the ones we assess. So, at this point, they are called learning outcomes. And these learning outcomes come from the syllabus, but as you draft your lesson plan, your scheme, be very careful when it comes to the COSIVA attached to every learning outcome. COSIVA is knowledge, understanding, skills and what we have been doing on this learning outcome, the focus should be on knowledge, understanding and and skills. Where you see K is knowledge, where you see U is what? Where you see S is what? Skills or the competence in that topic. However, as a teacher, knowledge uganda of that particular learning outcome. This time in your scheme of work, you must state it. Knowledge about what? Because there is another teacher who is going to use the same scheme of work. So you must be clear. This K is about knowledge, but knowledge of who? State the knowledge you want to bring out to your learners on that particular learning outcome. So as you design, this has not been there before, but they said many teachers complain that they have failed to understand curriculum implementation. We have not been having this column of remarks, and it is the reason why we still have backlog in some subjects. If you skill to handle this topic this time, and you fail to teach it, please state it and you give the reason. If you taught it the topic or the learning outcome, please show it in this column. So, which means, as a teacher, you are going to stay with one copy. Another copy will go to the directory. Then another one, you stay with it to update these columns. If the topic was not taught or the learning outcome indicated, so such that people in charge can plan for what has not been taught. So this is the template of the scheme of work for this competency base. The new developments are here. And also learning outcome from the syllabus, learning outcome focus. As a department, you must sit and generate your kusiva, because you must speak the same language. Uganda knowledge, learning outcome, when knowledge could be key, such that none again east or west will stick to that knowledge. Are we together, members? Yes. Then teaching learning aids, evidence of achievement. Maybe these are indicators that will tell someone that this learning outcome was taught. Now let us look at components briefly and weigh that. Focus, it is about learning towards a particular way of thinking or acting. Focus, the other focus of knowledge, understanding, whatever. Teaching and learning aids, what to prepare learning outcomes. These are specifics from the syllabus. Then evidence of achievement, proof that the learner successfully met the specified learning outcomes. Now, we have a challenge here. We have been just teaching. And when it comes to assessment, we task learners to apply what they learn, to do something. They learned. So we fail them thinking that they learned, whom they didn't. So this time, let us be clear. If you don't see evidence of achievement in your class, it means that lesson or topic was not successfully taught. You must see it coming out in your learners. Of course, using some of some questions. You can be guided by some questions to reflect on what you have taught. So, others, references, remarks.
So when they bring their computers, they need to be able to use them. the greatest reason why learners misuse computers is the teachers have not organized learning activities that require the learner to use technology. So if the learners are not being given activities to use technology, then the learners use the computers for their ends. In fact, if you discover that your activity does not require use of a computer, the teacher should tell the learners, close your computers, because the activity we are doing does not require using a computer. Just like you don't allow a learner to read a novel when you are teaching physics.
How are you going to assess your learners in agriculture but on ICT proficiency if your learners cannot use ICT? That's the point. Because all the generic skills postulated in the syllabus are going to be assessed. Creativity and innovation, problem solving, all those generic skills, and ICT proficiency in every subject. So, in class, don't simply say you brought your laptops maybe to be used in the ICT lessons. Even in that particular subject of yours, learners must be helped to use these gadgets but in a proper way. Let us guide them. That is my point.
So that even when you are preparing a learning activity, you know at what level am I using ICT? At what level? Level 3, the students use ICT to support knowledge construction. If ICT is used to support knowledge construction, to construct knowledge, the learners have now reached level number 3. Knowledge in your subject, your teacher of geography, are the learners using ICT to construct knowledge? Yes. However, at level 3, they could construct the same knowledge without ICT. If you discover the learners are using technology to construct knowledge, but they could do it otherwise without technology, you are at level number 3. Meaning, if you don't have technology, they can still construct the knowledge. They can still draw graph. But now they have used a computer to analyze and draw the graph. But they could have done it. They could have done it without us. That is level number 3. And these activities vary. In this activity, you may use no technology. You may be at level 1, your teacher using it. In another activity, it could be level number 3. Now, level number 4, the students use ICT to construct knowledge, and ICT is required to construct the knowledge. Like they couldn't have done it in other way. Now you have reached level 4. However, the students do not create a product. If the learners don't create a product, but they can construct it, maybe they have researched, maybe they have linked with another community, they could not have found the weather conditions of Russia this morning except through technology. Then you are at level number 4. Now the topmost level that each one of us desires to go for is level number 5. At level number 5, the learners use ICT to support knowledge construction. The learners, the use of ICT is required, and they create a product. They create a product. So they couldn't have created knowledge in another way. And there is something that you can see. And therefore, I now take you to the scenario where I share with you some examples of ICT use and products that students. Some least level 5. I am pitching it at level 5 so that we can begin seeing the journey that we need to go through. And it is a personal journey. And it varies. In one lesson, you may use ICT. In another, you may not use. It is not true that if there is a projector in class, every lesson, you must use technology, or it must be at the same level. The teacher needs to make a conscious decision when and when not to use technology. Don't use ICT for the sake of using ICT. Use it to enable students to learn. You see, you come here and tell people ICT is very nice. So let me just highlight 5 areas. When you're talking about ICT in this school, we need to look at 5 areas. Area number 1, we call them 5 C's. Area number 1, look at computers. Computers meaning infrastructure. We use C. Projectors, laptops, scanners, routers, all those we are bundling them as computers. This is very important, but it is the easiest thing to do. It is the easiest. Getting the ICT infrastructure is the easiest part. Just get money and buy them. The real journey is ahead. Where? The journey is in connectivity. Internet connectivity, school-wide connectivity. I know of a school that receives internet in sufficient quantity at a particular point, but they have no connectivity in school. So the internet reaches one place, but it does not go to the classes. And they complain about not providing internet. It is like when National Water provides you with the water and brings the tap, you connect the dining room. You don't connect the bathrooms. When the bathrooms are not connected, you don't go back to National Water. You say that, no. It is you to connect the water from the tap to the bathroom. So connectivity in school, connectivity with the internet. Very important. A lot of money, a lot of regulation, a lot of policies. Connectivity. That is the second C. Number 3, content. Content. What is it? ICT without content is close to useless. You need digital content. We need the videos. We need pictures. We need audio. Who creates them? Where do we get them from? That is the lifeblood. So we have to have the deliberate policy of generating, of acquiring, of storing content. It's not only computers. It's not only infrastructure. Because that is where the learning is taken. Because we are talking about using technology to teach biology. Using technology to teach entrepreneurship. That's what we are talking about. So there has to be content that we are using. Another is community. Technology has users, has a community of people who must be, whose interests must be catered for. So which communities are we serving? Is it only the teachers? Is it only the learners? Or are we thinking of using the technology to engage the parents? So which community? And what are their interests? And how we safeguard them? And what are the acceptable user policies? What is acceptable? If a student, I know of a teacher who found a student, this song of Latin Ruby as support when you are talking about freedom, support material. When you find the land listening to freedom, and you are listening to music. So what are the users? Who are the users? And what are their interests? So you introduce technology, you need to know the community so that we avoid conflicts, because many times we introduce technology when we have not considered the community. And finally, competence, ability, competence of a teacher to formulate a learning activity that involves use of technology. Competence of a teacher to supervise a learner. Competence of a teacher to evaluate an artifact made using technology. Competence of a teacher to evaluate a mobile app in history. Because the learners are going to produce mobile apps and websites and videos. So don't just wait for a paper. The learner says to me, I want to express myself using a podcast. Don't start saying, now for me, I don't know how to evaluate. Competence of the teacher. Remember the slides I started with, where I said, you are the guide. I told the teachers of history that students come in senior 5 when they know nothing about computers. In 2 years, they leave with a distinction. How is it that you, a teacher, you are not able in 2 years to be good in technology, to teach technology? They said that. I told them that what you need to do is to interpret the curriculum, the syllabus, interpret it, get some notes, have some discussion, ask the learner. Right now, for me, I also don't know how to do this thing. Huh? You try. The learner does it, you guide. Before you know it, Mr. Namdana does not know the first thing about designing a website. But his students have generated websites. I do not know how to develop a mobile app. My kids have developed mobile apps for their project activities. You don't have to be the guy doing it. You are the guide. If you put pressure on yourself, it will not undermine. Stress is not without any. Those kids know they can help you to display the work. So, one day, we give you pressure such that you can be a great teacher. That's why I started with those slides. It has to start with you. You're thinking that, I can work with these learners. The teachers who I told, you can guide. When class something fails, then they call you can go and I tell them, press F1, help will come. You read on the computer is the greatest cost is not the infrastructure. You pay more money than you already paid. You pay money for content, for training teachers, for securing the system. That's where your money is. We call it total cost of ownership. When you're doing ICT, you calculate how much it will cost you in 5 years. So if you don't have it in the budget already, please put it there, because it is going to cost money to maintain the door. It will cost money. The learners, when they bring their computers, they will put it down. What is your policy? ICT, never try to learn everything. Just pick out the thing you want to learn. So that's why I'm showing the example. You say, that one, I think I can start with that one. Internet research. That one, the learners can do the video learning. Not so. If you do not do it, you will learn how to research information on the internet. Number 2, vocabulary on the computer. On the computer, there is already a program with this difficult name. I don't know how to pronounce this one. That one. you want the learners to learn things, for example, you go to that program, it will give you alternative words. You can use the technology to show information. Get a picture from the internet. Biology, alimentary canal, stomach, intestine. Then learners will get scholarships. Online, the idiots to study. And that will inspire them. You can have virtual tours in your different subjects. These things I'm showing you are real. Courses online. There is a website that we are working on. We call it help.sc.ug. We are putting together a lot of learning material because as we speak now, everyone is crying. Where is the content? Where is what? The learners are being sent to the internet to see videos and videos. What we are doing is, as educators, we watch the videos and we select those that we think are most relevant and put them together. So when the learner goes in and it's aligned with the curriculum, the learner is able to find the resources. I'll show you some of those. It could be keeping students' records. It could be setting exams. It could be drawing diagrams. I'm going to come back to those. The next, I think I moved the file a little bit. So all of those are examples of ICT use.
To listen, to write, and but for what? Effective communication. Giving learners A's, B1s, when they cannot communicate effectively, then we are as good as wasting their time. So let us create an enabling environment to train them to be effective communicators. Be it in Arabic, you want to hear that. Be it in German, be it in Uganda. Otherwise, we teach these subjects and we just give them kicks, they walk away. Now, what we discovered when we pre-tested, many students could not speak, could not communicate effectively in any of these languages. So, technology can be here to help us to produce such
learners. So when you go to download, don't stress. You say, I want you like become closer to the learners. So I want to download this video, show you how you do it. They will show you. You learn more from the learners than from fellow staff members. They want to teach you. Your friends want to teach you, but they also have to mark activity of integration. You now understand me. And some have forgotten how to teach young people. Those kids teach their parents. So, like, bring them very close. They'll be able to teach you. Now, I want to show you where the videos are. They will pick them and say,
teachers, you can see there is a lot you have to learn, and I'm not going to add on anything. Remember, there is also another side of offline, how you can create content using offline mode, and then use it in your class. But because time is not on our side, we have other activities. I think we shall begin from there. So this time, we can entertain two or three questions, just in case, and then we close this chapter.
Thank you very much. Mine is a question about the library. Do you have any online libraries that you can recommend to us from where learners can pick read materials?
Okay. Online websites. for e-library. Any other?
Access to allow you to download it. So you can even have set an exam and they'll see the exam. Then you go there and say, hey, start. And they start. That is the power of technology. Number 2, physical education. That is the teacher's name. So the site is this one, help.ac.ug. We will hopefully get an opportunity to show what is inside another time. And this teacher is working on it. So yes, I'm going to take your contact, we will be in touch. And the rest of you would like to contribute, very fine. We are running it on a trial basis so that people can begin to log on. So feel free. Thirdly, are there some online databases? Now, if you could, there are 2 that I know. One is called BBC Bite Size. This one. It has quizzes. BBC Bite Size. It has very, very nice little questions and quizzes and precise information. Very, very nice. It teaches a little concept and then gives you a quiz. It is beautiful. You'll love it. Now, there's Britannica. It's an encyclopedia. Britannica. Again, you go to Google. Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica, and get you some good information. The rest you just need to keep searching. One that students like very much is called Wikipedia, but internationally people don't call it Wikipedia because it is peer work. It is not by professionals, but sometimes it has very good information. But usually we don't usually recommend Wikipedia. Chances of having wrong information are very, very high. I think those are the questions. With those not very few words, I would like to thank you very much for your attention and the administration for granting us an opportunity to share with you. I am a teacher, a facilitator. Don't hesitate to send me a little message if there is something that needs to be done. Secondly, I'm a fellow of the International Leaders in Education program, which is now called Fulbright program. The applications are open as we speak. The deadline is RFF. Apply. You never know as a teacher. You go to the US for 4 to 6 months, but it might be 4 months. You receive high-end training. High-end. They attach you to a university, to a secondary school, to organizations, and you get networks. You receive really, really good training in many of the areas that we are struggling with. You need to have proof for 5 years at least. When you fill the application, you need to include a timetable, the letter of intention, then a recommendation from the school. The recommendation from the school is usually a paragraph with just ticks. So they have just to comment on the integrity, on some of the comments, on the things. But it's excellent. If you Google, you can just check.
Mr. Karima Ayub Golova, we are indeed very, very grateful for this session, and I hope we have picked, we have learned, and we are not soon to unlearn, but instead consolidate. Thank you very much, and you are always welcome to GBSS. On that note, I hand over to my boss to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Main presenter, Mr. Malema, the co-presenters, Asoka, the teacher, the directorate, and everyone in your capacity. Thank you so much for turning up for the workshop. Thank you so much for taking time. We pray that whatever we have learned, we are going to put it to proper use when time comes. Inshallah. We are breaking off for prayers and lunch. Then we shall come back here at exactly 2 p.m. for the beginning